Hello and welcome to Cracking the Cryptic. Now today I'm returning to the Grand Prix round 7 that I've been doing on and off in videos and seeing how my time compares with the par time if I was trying to finish the tests. Now I'll just start with the reminder that I'm not quite a good enough solver to get through these probably ever completely, and indeed solving on the screen with the software seems to have hurt my times a bit more as well. Either that or I've just really struggled, especially with, I think it's the Fortress Sudoku, looks like the worst result, along with the recent min-max, and you can look up my past videos on those if you're interested. So I've got 2 more puzzles to do, and I was thinking of doing them in one video, but I think we'll probably just do them one by one, especially as they're meant to take what looks like 11 and 13 minutes respectively. So first of all, it's the diagonally consecutive, and what I'm doing now is going to show you my solve of the puzzle which I did earlier and talk you through it as best I can as we go along. So the rules in this one, you can obviously solve the puzzle underneath. I'm providing the link to the puzzle on our software, and this is a good time to mention also that you can subscribe to this channel clearly to watch more of things like this. You can subscribe to us on Patreon as well. We're very grateful for anybody who can manage to do that. And there's our Sudoku app, our Sandwich Sudoku app is now out and can be downloaded on Steam, Android, or indeed from the App Store. So here we go. Now the rules on diagonally consecutive are that every instance of numbers being consecutive in diagonally adjacent cells in the grid are shown by little grey marks. Hopefully you can see those on your screen. Look more closely if you're not sure. So where there's an X, that's actually 2 separate grey marks connecting this cell and this cell, which could therefore be, for instance, 7 and 8. Now, it's very important that the negative constraint operates in this puzzle as well, by which I mean that if there is no grey mark between 2 cells, then the numbers are not diagonally consecutive between those diagonal cells. So this cell up here cannot be an 8 for 2 reasons, because there's no grey cell connecting it to the 7, grey line connecting it to the 7, there's no grey line connecting it to the 9. So there are a lot of constraints here, but there's very few givens, as you can see. So here's my solve starting from now, and so I'm just studying the grid at first to see where can I possibly start. I've noticed 2 6s in this sort of chute, and that means that another 6 has to go in one of these 2 cells. Because of that 7, it couldn't be here. So the 6 in one of those 2 cells must have a number consecutive to it in one of these 2, because there's 2 grey lines, and it couldn't be the 5 because of that. So one of them must be a 7, and now I've already been able to establish which of those is a 6, and that's enabled me to fill in 6 and 7. Now this combination of 3 cells was very important here because they're all connected, so they have to all be consecutive. Obviously these 2 can't be the same as they're in the same column, and there aren't many possibilities for that given what's ruled out of this cell. So that was very helpful in getting going, and I've been able to get a lot of that cell filled. Now, looking at 9s over here, 9 is an interesting number because it's always consecutive to 8. And now what was really helpful in this box is that almost every cell is connected with a grey line. So you've got a run of 3. Actually, I'm just going to stop it here to explain what was really possible to spot here. Having got the 9 in, which had to be here, because it couldn't be in any cell in the grid that connected with another one, which would therefore have to be an 8, and the 8's already in the box. So the 9 had to be in this cell in the box. Now, having done that, 1, you can see the 1 down here, that's ruled out of this cell which doesn't have a grey line. So therefore 1 is in one of these 4 cells with a grey line. Now, interestingly, we've got 8 and 5 already. Now, remember, we've got a run of 3 and a run of 2 to find in this box, and we've already filled in 8, 9, and 5. So the run of 2 has to be 6, 7. So they have to be there. The 1, which we know is also in this group of 4 cells, is also in a run. So given that 1 is in a run of 3, it must be 1, 2, 3. The 4 must go in the remaining cell, and we can fill all of that in. And I mean, this hasn't taken very long to get to this stage. 1¼ minutes. I think I made some reasonable deductions early on to get there. Now, over here again, there are 1 or 2 constraints here. This cell couldn't be a 5 because of the 6 here, so that had to be a 1 or a 4. And then you can actually tell that these 2 can't be 4 and 5 because they would need a grey line. So this one must be either 4 or 5. That's why I've been able to make sure that the 1 is in one of these 2 cells. So quite a lot going straight away. Decent start, as I say. It doesn't last to share the secrets, but we've got 3, 6, 8 and 5, 7, 1 across this row 4 now. So we're going to have to fit in 2, 4 and 9, but there's not very many of the grey lines to provide constraints here. So I'm just going to fill in the various possibilities 2, 4, 9 at this stage. Now in this row, the 4 that we got over here is resolved that this is a 1, and now we've got 8, 3, 5 going across here. Unfortunately, every single one of those 3, 5 or 8 matches with one of those 2, 4, 9s. That gives us 1, 6, 7 down here, and we can quickly see that 1, because of this grey line, is not possible here. And also 6 wasn't possible here because of this 7. So you're constantly looking for these diagonal relationships throughout the puzzle. Now, up here we've got, it's been quite limited by what's in its row, column and box, down to 2, 4 and 8. And unfortunately they're not ruling out the 6 down here. This 7 was done because we got 2 7s in columns 9 and 8 already. And that means we've got 2, 8 and 6 to come at the top here. Now, interestingly, this bottom one can't be, it can't connect to a 7 or a 9, and it can't connect to a 7, so it couldn't have been the 6 or 8, so that had to be the 2. Now the rest of this box is kind of determined by what else we've got from elsewhere. 1, 3, 4 and 5 to fit in. Now remember, these 2 are linked, so they can't include the 1. And this one can't be the 5 because of that 5. 6 and 8 down here. Now that's an interesting pair. 6 is achieved because of the 6s we have in the grid. 8 because of that 8. And this one can't be an 8 because of this 7. So 6 and 8 are a pair here. And 8 can't be in this cell because of the 9. So 6 and 8 resolve themselves there. And the others these 2 have to connect, but 2, 3, 4 and 5 are a much harder group to resolve there. Now we've got these 2 6s along the bottom, so that's putting a 6 here or here. Can't be here because of the 7. 7s must be along the bottom. It could be in any of those cells though. Now if the 7 is in one of these 2, it must connect with an 8 because it now can't be a 6, but since the 7 could still be here, we can't resolve that. Now we've managed to rule out the 2 here from the 2 we got there, so this is either 4 or 8. Right up in the top corner, this is only possible to be 2, 4, 8 or 9, and in fact 8 is ruled out because this can't be 7 or 9. That 2, 4, 9 means this can only be 1, 3 or 8 because of the grey bar there. Now, where else can we go? I don't know how. 7s. Yeah, 7 can't be here because that's a 6. And interestingly, it can't be here because that's either 6 or 8. So the only place left for a 7 in this box is in the center. That gives us a 6 or 8 there, which matches the 6 or 8 here. So we know where 6 and 8 are in this row. And that's something, but again, I haven't managed to make any further progress up at the top, so I've come looking down at the bottom now. No, I should, well, quite rightly, I've spotted that 7 resolves the 6 in this cell here, and that gives us the 5 here. And now we're limiting down the other ones quite successfully to pairs of 1 and 7 and 3 and 8. Now that's quite interesting that the 5 was ruled out the 4 here. And once we get either the 3 and 8 or the 2 and 9, we can sort that too. 6 here came because, oh, this is quite nice at the top. 6 here resolved from that pair. And the only place in these 3 cells for a 6 is in the middle, because otherwise it would link to the 7. That's fixed the 8, that gets that 8 sorted. That means 9 can't be in the pair with the bar, and indeed 9 now has to be in row 2 here, and therefore row 1 up here, and in fact we could put in the 9 straight away, because it can't be diagonally next to that 8. That 9 fixes the 2 in the middle, so we're really moving along here now. Again, these negative relationships will be very helpful as soon as we can get anything else done in the central box, and there it is. Oh, that couldn't be a 3 because it was diagonally opposite this 2 that we've just revealed, and I think this resolves, okay, it resolves row 4 but not row 6 yet. But things are really falling out now, so this has actually gone quite well. I remember this as feeling much harder, but 6 and a bit minutes in, and we're doing all right here. Now this is left being 1, 4 or 5, but it has to pair with this. Now it can't be 5, interestingly, because that's a 5, and one of them is diagonally connected here, but the other isn't. So it has to be either 1 or a 4. That leaves this as 2, 3 or 5. Actually, it can't be a 5 because there's a 5 below it. And so I should have spotted that, but not yet. Now, where are we looking? We're trying to place a 9 down here. Not so easy. Obviously can't be next to the other 9, but it could still be in either of these cells. Now I'm still just trying to find where the next bit of leverage can be applied. Haven't got many pairs across the bottom to use, unfortunately. Now, where should we be looking? I'll just follow what I do come up with next. This cell, for instance, here, still can be any of 1, 3 or 4. Okay, so I'm reduced to putting in the possibilities down here. The only things left in this column are 2, 4 or 5 there. And in fact, 2, the same can't be 2, same as with those 5s are there, because there's a 2 diagonally next to that cell as well. So in fact, that's now limited these to 4 and 5. We get to place the 2 in column 1, doesn't resolve the 1, 3 here, annoyingly. These 2 cannot be 3 and 4 because they'd be connected. So one of them must be a 1, and in fact that's going to make this cell have to be a 3. I haven't spotted that immediately, but I should have spotted the fact that these 2 cells are related. It'll be annoying if that costs me a lot of time, as I can see it straight away now, but there we go. Now this 4-5 pair might be useful. We've got 4, 5, 7, 6, 9. In fact, that can't be a 4 now because of this 4-5 pair. So I'm really missing a lot of stuff in box 1 there. I'm placing where 2s could be here, but that's not getting me much further forward. The only possibilities in this cell are 1, 4, 5, but that's not affected by the cells that it's diagonally next to above it. Again, right, down the bottom, this has to be 4, 5 or 8. We know this can't be 6 or 9 here, or 7 actually, so we can get rid of the 8 possibility. So that's a 4 or 5 connected to a 3 or 4 there. I wish I'd been able to figure out what was going on in this box a bit quicker. Yeah, it's definitely got to be a 1 at the top there, and then 3 and 4. And that would help all the things over here, but unfortunately I haven't spotted that yet. Now, this 8, 9, 7, 6 and 2, 4 gone. This has to be 1, 3 or 5, and in fact, look at that too. It can't be 1 or 3. This cell has to be a 5, and I've figured that one out. So that takes the 5 out of that possibility. In fact, it puts the 5 in there, that's true, and that's resolved. What it's diagonally connected to must be a 4, 4, and now I can finally do box 1, which has been available, as we've seen, for some time. Finished off row 1 as well. That fills in box 2. I can fill in box 1 as soon as I look at it, but I'm not looking at it at the moment. But box 3 is done, and that's the whole top slice out of the way now. So significant progress. Now down column 2, we've got 8 and 2 to put in these 2 cells, and 8 in fact can't be in this one because it would be diagonally next to a 7. So once I figure that out, 2 can go in the central cell and 8 at the bottom. There we go. 8, come on, put in the 8. Yep. Now where's 8 going to go in this central row here? Not there because that's 3 or 4, not here because it would be next to a 9, so 8 must be in the middle. And in fact 9 has now been constrained to be there because it couldn't be in the middle as well. So gradually now it's absolutely falling to bits, thank God. There goes the 8, we've got a 4-5 pair above and below it, and everything's finishing off now. The rest is just normal Sudoku rules from here. Resolving the pairs that we have left and filling them in, basically. I think, interestingly, this 4-5 combo can't be resolved until the very end, till we get this box done. So time on that's a little bit wasted. Oh, it can. Okay. I thought it couldn't. Why? Oh, because we got the 5 in the central box there. And then this is filling in the rest of that box. And there we go. That's the completion of the puzzle. So that was really a decent time for me for that sort of puzzle. It's not one I've ever attempted before, but it is one that was quite fun to do, to be honest. Constantly looking for the combination of the constraints of the grey lines they give you, the negative constraints from the grey lines they don't give you, and normal Sudoku rules. So I really like that as a puzzle. I found it tough to get my head round, but fun to solve. And just going back to the record of the times then, so once we put that in, what are we going to see here? Right, so that was only 23 seconds over the par time, 4%, so that's pretty good for me. My overall par time now, the overall par time for the puzzles I've solved is about, what's that? It's about an hour and 17 minutes, but my actual time is, well over 2 hours. I'm 56% over. So, as I say, I wouldn't normally expect to finish a set of these puzzles in 90 minutes. I would often hope to finish them in about 2 hours, and I haven't managed that with this set. I think that is partly because I'm not used to solving them on screen through the software. But that one at least was quite a good one. In fact, given the percentage save figures, that was my best time compared to the par of any of the puzzles so far. So that's probably the highlight. And I'll save up the sum by X, and we'll come back to that in one final video to wrap up this Grand Prix Round 7 in the future. So I hope you'll be able to join me then. Thanks very much for watching now, and hope to see you again soon on Cracking the Cryptic. Bye for now.